So, now we start session 8, incentives and facilitating measures. So I would like to call Professor Jianbo Lu. Is he here? Here, good, wonderful. And you want to just walk that way? And he's going to talk about auditing the closure of a business, environmental auditing. You want to stand right here? Good.
I need some water to soothe my soul. I enjoy the fresh air here. I did suffer from the coldness of the air, but I can guarantee you that you are having very clean air here compared to my home country. Well, the proposal I made is not that radical. I just propose to adapt environmental auditing as part of the corporate liquidation procedures. So if the company during its operation has produced any pollution which is not detected on time, via that environmental auditing it could be detected, hopefully, and if there's liability, the company can be held liable for that. Well, as the only speaker from PRC, I guess, I think I feel kind of obliged to tell you share with you some background things about CSR, company law, and environmental protection in China. Our Indonesia colleague said yesterday Indonesia company law might be the only company law worldwide which contains provisions on CSR. And I think he is partially right, but our company law, which was revised in 2005, does has an article which, Article 5, which require corporate during their operation to take corporate social responsibilities. Well, but there's article without any teeth, so we are still wondering, what's the meaning of this article. And the second thing is, well, we have very strong government. Well, it's strong not because the party is strong, but because basically speaking, our government or the state, legally speaking, owns all the urban land. Rural land, by the way, is owned by agricultural collectives and all the natural resources. So the government have all the resources to do, if they want to do good things, they can do good things like environmental protection. And the third background thing is, well, pollution serious in China. I mean, if you watch the TV and read other medias, and people in my country are suffering from air pollution recently, not just Beijing, but almost the whole country. We do have a pollution controlling system regarding firms and companies. Most scholars divide them into 3 tiers. Tier 1 is if enterprises puts in violation of the law. I mean, like every jurisdiction, our law sets criteria. I mean, on how much you could, like carbon emissions, things like that. I mean, the company will be held civilly, criminally, or administratively liable. Tier 2 is, well, if you put within I mean, not beyond the ceiling set by the law, then you will pay for your pollution. We have what we call the pushing fees. I mean, if I translate word by word. And so this is tier 1. Tier 3 is, well, I mean, the government, first of all, we encourage companies to reduce pushing, to minimize pushing as much as possible. And they are tax intensives and also straightforward government subsidies to that. So those are 3 background things. Well, some enterprises, I mean, they do business very responsibly and they try to control their pushing. About the proposal I made, I have to confess I'm not a CSR expert, not a sustainable company law expert. I do teach company law, but I focus more on merger and acquisition, taking over those kind of things. My paper actually originated from a meeting I was called to. This meeting organized about our government on how to deal with huge amount of land which was contaminated in the past. And those land basically, I mean, either they are in urban areas, used to be factories, you know, I mean, like 20 years ago at least, there are many manufacturing factories in downtown city actually in China. And later on, the government encouraged them to move to more remote areas. And those land was actually redeveloped for commercial purpose. Some of them are actually redeveloped as residential property. And in rural areas, agricultural land, there are many agricultural land which is also polluted. Most of them used to be mining sites. And when the mines closed itself, the land was redeveloped for agricultural purpose. Anyway, I mean, a fact is the current users, I use the term users, I mean, try to avoid owners because, as I said at the very beginning, land in China in urban areas belongs to the state, while in rural areas belongs to the agricultural collectives, not to the individual farmers or to the residents. They were not responsible for the pollution. So we were asked 3 questions. First of all, can we should the current user be held liable, and or like circular in the United States? I mean, the Funds Act, which actually held the current owner liable. Well, I mean, obviously, I mean, most law professors says no because, I mean, they are not responsible to that. But the government gave up the idea immediately for 2 reasons. One is what I just mentioned, you know, I mean, agricultural land, they are now used by agricultural families for agricultural purpose. And many downtown land, which was contaminated and polluted, but now they are residential property, or occupied by residential property. It makes no sense to help individual farmers and individual homeowners to be liable for that. They don't have a deep pocket. Besides, not good for the society. And the second question is, well, then, who should pay for the cleaning up of the land? And we goes to the government. Because the government has money, has the resources. And the third question is, well, how to avoid the problem in the future? You know, I mean, the pollution was not detected when the business closed itself, when they moved to other site, and when the land was redeveloped, there's no examination of the situation of the land. That's why I came up with the idea of environmental auditing. Environmental auditing has been in China. We have for quite a while, and there's methodology and procedures on that. And I talked with people having expertise on environmental auditing. They said that if we do that seriously, we should be able to find out the problem. And secondly, I think you don't need a radical change to the company law. Anyway, I mean, the major purpose of liquidation before closure is to find out, to whom you should pay the better liability, to whom you should pay the debts. And if you put it environment, you should clean that up. If that cause damage to third party, you should be held liable to the third party. So that's why I came up with this idea. Well, I mean, some methodology thinking, I have, I forgot to say, I appreciate Beatrice's invitation very much. I have learned a lot from this conference. And compared to many proposals, I learned over the past almost 2 days. I think mine is more conventional, well, I mean, conventional means you don't need to push that very hard. I mean, you can just adopt them into the current legal system. But if we're coming back to the Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 environmental responsibility I just mentioned for industries, I think those conventional approach might be able to solve the problem of Tier 1, but they have difficulty in solving problems in Tier 2 and Tier 3. Thank you.